Hey everyone, it's Dana. Having a little bit of technical difficulties. What's a day without technical difficulties? I'm sitting sitting next to Holly because she's on my phone next to me. I'm trying to see if you can hear me and how we can do this. What I'm going to do is I am going to go live from my Facebook business page, which is Modern Exennial / The Modern Mom Lounge. And I am going to pause this live because we definitely want to go live. We have a great topic that we want to talk about with everything going on in the climate, in the world today with climate change, all this talk with the fires in California, just everything. So what we're going to do is I'm waiting for the live video to enable straight from the page. So in the meantime, I am going to fill you in on a few things of what's going on with Modern Mom Lounge. So if you didn't get a chance to check in last week, we did connect with Stephanie from Steph B Cosmetics, and she gave us some great tips and tricks and trends on makeup for fall, and especially for the mask wearer. So I see people are on. If you're on, can you tell me if you can hear me well or if you can hear me at all? That would be great. Seeing people log on. Thank you everyone for joining. Just confirm if you can hear me. Because if you can hear me, then I might have Holly. We're going to figure this out. But, I got a thumbs up. Sounds good. Okay. So we're going to figure out how we're going to pipe in Miss Holly. Let's see. I'm going to try to bring her in now. Maybe she'll be able to hear me now. Can you hear me now, Holly?
Yes. I think I can, but I can't tell if it's on my phone or in person. But I can hear you.
So is your computer on mute?
I'm sorry?
Is your computer?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I think I'm going to hang up the phone. I think I can hear you through the computer. I'll let you know if I can.
Okay. This is the trials and tribulations.
Nope. I was hearing you through my phone.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm going to call you back.
Give me a call back.
I'm going to call Holly back, and I'm going to put Holly on the phone.
Hi.
Hi. So this is what we're going to do. I am going to put you on the phone. Both of you sound good. Someone said both of us sound good. So
we just can't hear you. I'm the one. I just can't hear you, but at least everyone can hear both of us.
Okay. Can you hear me on the phone though? Good. Then we're good. All right. We're going to do it this way. We'll see how it goes. If not, I could always have Holly on again next week and the weekend. Okay. So I didn't get to give a good intro to Holly. So I just wanted to give you guys an idea. Holly and I actually met through Pilates class. And then by exercising next to each other on Reformers, we've learned a lot about each other. We have a lot in common. We like each other a lot. And we've been friends for like 5 years now, I want to say. Right? It's nice. I love it. And one thing that is near and dear to Holly's heart is climate and climate change and recycling and what we can do to stop all the craziness that's going on in terms of ozone and forests and air quality and so on. So before I destroy this whole topic, I don't know much about it. So I'm super excited that I'm going to sit here and become a student as well to learn all about climate change and what we can do. And please, by all means, if anyone has any questions, ask them in the comment section, and I'll be sure to ask Holly. And Holly, just take it away.
Absolutely, yeah. And I definitely would like people to put questions in because I want to be sure there's a lot of different ways I could talk about this, but I want to make sure that everyone who came leaves with more of an understanding and has any of the questions they have that I can answer answered. So to tell you a little bit about me, I've been working in kind of the renewable environmental space for years and years. I moved from New York to California to work in renewable energy. And I've worked for years and years in the space. And in the last few years, I've gone off and gotten educated and taken, I got trained by Al Gore's program and a few others. And I've been speaking at FAU and all throughout the community. So I'm really happy to be here with the moms tonight because this has always been important to me since I was a young child. But now that I have children, it is even more important. And so it's kind of gotten elevated. You know, as we have those little ones and they grow bigger, whatever age they are, you know, everything kind of shifts for you and certain things become more important. So
I agree.
Yeah. So what I wanted to start with, I know a lot of people might be helping their kids with virtual school, so you may have had enough science today, but I'm going to do a really quick explanation of the basics of climate change and global warming so that we sort of all understand it. So if you think about the planet, and if you go outside and you look up at the sky, and it seems like our atmosphere is vast, right, and endless. But actually, it's only about 25 to 30 miles. So if we got into a car, and depending on how fast you drive, you could get through it and into space in about a half hour or less. So that's our atmosphere. Yeah. And what happens is the sun comes down and it sends heat to Earth, and that's a good thing because it makes the Earth a livable, warm temperature. Now, some of that heat is reflected back into space. But what's happening is with the increase in greenhouse gas, there's a blanket around the Earth and it's getting thickened. And what happens is the energy from the sun that is supposed to leave is getting trapped here. And that is what's causing the warming. And what we've seen is this increase in average temperature has really accelerated, especially since like the 80s and 90s, but ever since we've been sort of industrializing, and now it's accelerating and getting more and more. So that greenhouse gases, which come from fossil fuels and transportation and all those things, that's what's warming the planet. And we see the average temperatures. If you look at graphs, you see the temperature going up on the Earth and also in the ocean, because the oceans absorb a lot of energy. So that's kind of the basics of it. Was that kind of understandable?
I think so. So basically, this blanket is not allowing, like you said, that the sun is able to bring the energy down to us on Earth. But the energy is not able to go through that blanket that's forming. So therefore, it's stuck here, and it's causing everything global warming.
Yes,
right.
Exactly. And so the more we create these particles that are opaque, these greenhouse gases, and don't leave, the warmer our temperatures get. And we're just not reducing the amount we're moving around and all of that kind of stuff. Our systems are not changing. We're producing all of these issues. And as a result, not in your mind, I'm sure the people listening are from across the country, and this is happening across the country. So here in Florida, it has gotten hotter. It's gotten hotter everywhere, and we see record-breaking temperatures. Actually, 19 of the 20th hottest year on record has happened since 2000.
Oh, wow.
So it's not in your imagination. Like, I moved to Florida in 2003, and it just keeps getting hotter. It's not your imagination.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on. And so sort of the effects of that, so two of them, I don't know if people can chime in, but how many people have lived through one hurricane? Raise your hand if you've lived through one hurricane. Any hands gone up?
We got an LOL.
And then raise another hand if you've been through more than one. So,
oh my gosh.
You see some hands?
There's two hearts that came up. Okay, we're getting there, guys. We got to get our emojis going and our
yeah, a heart works too.
Oh, we got a hand. Okay.
So the reason, you've probably heard this, the reason why you get so many hurricanes is that warmer oceans feed the hurricanes. And that's why, like, we had Dorian that went from a tropical storm to a category 5, like in a day. Maybe it was a day and a half. And that's because these warm temperatures, so they are making more extreme. That's why there are so many more hurricanes. Warm water feeds them. They intensify much more rapidly. It holds more warm air, holds more moisture. So when it rains, like a la the Katrinas, you get a ton of rain associated with it. But it also increases storm surge, which brings the ocean in. So all of the warmness, all of the warmth of the water is exacerbating and making those much worse. So all of us who see that, and that's why the warmer the water is, the worse, and it's not getting cooler, it's getting warmer and warmer.
Right. And I've noticed that too. I mean, I actually moved down here in 95, and I always say every year, I'm like, it's hotter than it was last year. Like you said, it is progressively getting warmer. It's not me just being, oh, it's hot in Florida. It is getting hotter than it traditionally was back when I first moved down here. And this year alone, I think, is a perfect example, although 2020 has been the butt of every joke. But look at the amount of hurricanes. We're already into the Greek alphabet now.
Exactly.
Everywhere that I look on the map, when I watch the Weather Channel, it's been seasonally warmer across the board.
And one of the other things about that, one of the things in my training that really struck me is we hear about the hurricanes, but one of the things they did was, like, for 45 minutes, there was pictures of floods or that are happening around the world. And it was like July 1st, July 2nd, July 3rd, like catastrophic flooding. And that's because even when it's not associated with a hurricane, the air is holding so much water. If you think about the Midwest, like a year and a half ago, when they had those huge floods, and that part of the country usually doesn't flood, it was a lot because of these rain bombs. That wasn't a hurricane, but you have these huge rain events. So that's another thing that's connected with this additional warming that's happening and the side effects of it. And then we also have droughts so there's intermittent things between intense droughts because the heat is pulling moisture out. And then there's intense rain when there's rain because the air is holding so much moisture. And there's all these things that are connected that when, like I was saying, you watch in the news, you don't realize these are all connected to the same thing.
Yeah, I would never know.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. And it also, the news that we get are focused on the most intense thing at the moment, right? So that takes us to the wildfires in California. So now I live in Florida, and we said we're dealing with that. And I have a son in college in California. So I get firsthand information on that. He actually has been sitting in his college dorm because he can't go out that much because of COVID. I can't go outside because of the air quality. We ordered him an air purifier. I mean, the air quality is better this week, but it was terrible for the past 2 weeks. Yeah, and that's something that's really interesting because in the kind of climate reality education or, the folks that I'm reading a lot, and I feel like we hadn't even been talking about the air quality. We talk about how hard, the actual fires, which are very frightening, but not really that huge air quality issue, which affects millions and millions of people.
I feel like I think last week on the news they were saying that someone sitting outside in California during one of these fires, it was almost like smoking 20 packs of cigarettes. That's how bad the air quality is there. And it's so scary because, yes, your son's there, and yes, they could be inside with air purifiers and so on, but you have to breathe the air, and it amazes me that how terrible fires are. Someone actually posted, I read something that said the lack of movement during the lockdown of COVID helped there to be less pollution and more clear air in many areas around the world. How can we translate that into something that helps? Yeah, they had Venice. Remember the waters in Venice? They had pictures, and
That is such a great question. So the way that I look at it is the benefits that we got from staying in during COVID shows us what's possible, right? So in the Himalayas, they could see for the first time in decades. It wasn't all full of smog. And like you said, in Venice, the waters were clear. But we haven't fixed the systemic problems that cause that. So as soon as we're out and about again, we're going to be out on the canals with whatever was polluting them. We're going to be flying again. So to me, what it does is it shows us what could be, where we will head, but we have to change the system. So we have to get out of cars that produce pollution.
Right.
So it's an incentive to do better, but we have to change the systems, because if we still have things that burn coal and natural gas and not renewables, as soon as we move around again, we're going to have the same problem. The one good thing is that a lot of us just like this are seeing that we can do so many great things without, even though I miss traveling and I will go back to conferences here and there because I love being with people and traveling to the world. But I think we will minimize it. And to the person who asked the question, that's like a direct connect benefit is that we'll reduce the emissions from flying if we replace some of those business trips and some of those personal trips with Zoom and this kind of online stuff. So that's a good thing.
No, that is definitely a good thing. And I think that if there's anything, like you said, with the positivity of what's happening with COVID around the world, that it's caused technology, I think, to advance 2 more years faster than it might have, per se. And the Zoom, although was somewhat of a great, it was a great tool previously, it's now at the forefront. And I'm so grateful that we have this technology and that people are even pushing even further, so that while, yes, we're at home, we can still function, we can still do our workload, we can still meet with people. And you, like I, we're both social butterflies. We like to be around people, but in a different setting and maybe not as frequently, per se. I just read an article also that the California is trying to enact, I don't know if it's a bill, but that in 2035, they're not going to sell any more new cars that are gas generated.
I actually worked with a nonprofit that was focused on that. Yes. So, and this is a great thing. So I'm going to go back after. I want to share a little bit about the fires, just so we understand, because that is very interesting what's causing them. But I love getting my heart is in the solutions, right? We don't want to like belabor the depressing problems. We want to talk about the solutions. So so going to electric cars is awesome. So they did pass that as an executive order by the governor. And I worked with this nonprofit. I was advising them for a little while, and that's what they were focused on, trying to do that in California and up to Washington State and Oregon. So basically the idea is, there will be older cars still floating around, people who like to tinker, but we need to move to electric, because then we can change the source of energy. If you're using gasoline and you're always using gasoline, it will, you'll have leaks and spills and all these horrible things. Plus, then when you burn it, it's a problem. But if we switch to electric, and I have an electric car, which I love, I have to admit, and now in terms of the impact of that, SUVs, I have a data point. It's something like SUVs are the second highest source of carbon in the world, like after power plants. It's something, there's some report that came out. So if you think about individual action and how we can have a difference, I always say there's a lot of ways individuals can have an impact. If we start acting this way, we educate ourselves, we educate our children, we educate people who are watching us. But if a lot of us do something, it actually has like a meaningful impact. So, and I don't want to one thing I never do is, if you own an SUV, I owned an SUV. I had a Prius and an SUV because we had stuff we needed. When my kids were younger, we needed that kind of a car because they didn't really have cars that had good trunk storage if you didn't get like something bigger. But now my kids are older, I don't need it, so I got rid of it and I have an electric car. My car, like the power going in isn't solar, my car gets 145 the equivalent of 145 miles per gallon, getting electricity into it. So you just have an idea. An SUV maybe gets 18 miles per hour, something like that, versus 145.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And so
it's a good thing to do and drive them. They're so fun. I never really cared what car I drove, but I have the Model 3. It's like the nicest car I've ever had, and it is so much fun.
I know I keep telling my husband because I'm up for a new car. And I'm like, I should totally. Our neighbors have 2 Teslas. They're obsessed with them. They have like the bigger one and then the regular sedan, the standard sedan. And I'm like, I want to go. I just want to test drive one and see, because I know once I test drive it, I'm going to fall in love with it, and he will too. And it's great for the environment, you know.
Yeah. And also the Bolt is a great car too. My friend has a Chevy Bolt, and that is a wonderful car also. I have another friend who has used Leaf. I mean, there's lots of good options. I wish I had gotten one for my kids, because they're just driving to school, and it's like plugging your phone in, you know, at night. Like, it's a whole different behavior. I don't ever have to go to a gas station again. I mean, that's amazing. I just plug it in at night at home, and there really is, you realize, so rare occasions that you're driving, you know, further. So anyway, it's great that California is doing that, and I think it's going to make a huge difference for them.
I agree.
And I think other countries around the world have done that already as well. So other people may follow. Oh, so I want to just go back to the fires real quickly. So the causes of the fire, one of the big ones is there's been a very long-term drought in California. So that makes it more susceptible to fires. A lot of the fires are started by people, and there's also problems with the utility there has a lot of downlines. There's also an increase in wind that one scientist, a study of a few scientists came out and showed that the change in wind patterns is also connected to climate change. So there's more wind. It's drier. The dryness is making the trees more susceptible to this beetle, the bark beetle, and that is killing. So then you have more fire, you know, more tinder for the fires. And then we have higher temperatures. So there are all of these things going on. And there is another thing that since like the late 1800s, you might be hearing about fire suppression. So this has been going on for over a century. And so the forests are much more dense than they were when the native peoples were taking care of them. So there are all these factors, but they're all made a lot worse. And the fires are more prevalent because of the drought caused by climate change, and because of this bark beetle problem. It's really bad too.
I never heard of the bark beetle. So there's like one particular insect that's actually killing the trees, which is causing, like you said, the more. That's interesting.
Yep. And sometimes what's going on with climate and the change in temperature makes for a more like a better situation for some of these bugs, these insects. And so they're like swarming, they're moving up toward the Pacific Northwest and into Canada. They came from Central America. Yeah. So that's that. So anyway, I just wanted people to kind of understand. I like to keep things simple, but unfortunately in the world, there are dimensions and nuances to things. And so there are all these issues kind of build on each other, and one makes, you know, the vulnerabilities other issues. So let's talk about solutions. So if anyone has any other questions about like impacts, we can talk about it. But one other great solution related to trees is I would love for us to create a culture where we gift trees. I always say that we are so lucky, many of us, and if you have, your kids don't really need stuff, you know, they have their music already plugged in. It's not like back in the day we would buy each other albums or whatever. Like, they have a lot of stuff to use. So how about if we started gifting them sort of their future, and we gifted them trees? So I did that for my sons. When he graduated from high school, I bought all of his friends trees as their graduation gift.
So where did you find these trees? Like, where would people go?
I have two sources. I'm sure there are more. I have to come up right here so I have them. One is arborday.org. Okay. And the other one is onetreeplanted.org.
Okay.
And like especially with the forest burning in Siberia and Australia and California, like you need those trees. They pull carbon out of the air. They're the other part of the solution. And oh, thank you for putting it up there. And so I would just love to spread the word that like how wonderful would that be if that was part of our culture, that we were just, doing a good thing by, and it's not expensive. It's $10, $12, something like that, a tree. And just like a really beautiful thing. So that's one. There are lots of other like nonprofits that are doing big work like Rainforest Action Network and a lot of other organizations that are doing stuff. But this is a way that you can like on a regular basis do something that's connected to, your life.
Right. And no, I think that's a great idea because it's actually funny that you say that. My younger son, just his birthday had just passed, and he, like you said, they have everything. What else do they need? You give them a gift that will actually make an impact, and you know what? It's a learning lesson for them as well. They'll be like, "Why'd you get me a tree?" Well, you know what? This is why I got you a tree. And then it's a conversation, and then it makes it more interesting. I totally everyone being like, "I got a tree." You know what I mean? Like with his friends, like. I'll tell my name to Gabriel. But you know what I mean? Like, I think it's a great idea.
Lovely. Yeah. So that would be great. So awesome. And then another really good spot that we can have individual action is food. So one of the big problems is food waste. We throw out all that we waste, like in the developed world, like 30% of the food that's grown is wasted. We either don't eat it, we let it rot, we buy too much, we throw it out. So there's all the energy, all the fertilizer, everything put into producing 30% of what we don't use, and then it goes to the landfill and it decomposes and it puts a greenhouse gas into the air, methane. So just by not wasting food, you can make a big difference. And again, if lots of us did, and there's a great website called, I think it's called savethefood.org. I think that's it. It has all these great tips on like what you can freeze, and especially because we're all maybe buying stuff a little weirder, maybe being a little more hoardy because of the pandemic.
So because of the pandemic too, the food prices have gone up as well. So that should be another thing also in conjunction, more importantly, obviously, for the environment itself. But we've noticed that we have been food wasters too. I mean, I'm definitely guilty of that. And sometimes what we've been doing the past few weekends is what can we make with what's in our pantry or in our refrigerator? Something, make something fun out of it. But it's true because, and also another thing I wanted to ask you is what about like
clothing?
Yes. So I read an article that if people were more mindful, instead of buying new clothing, they were to purchase maybe secondhand, whether it's a consignment shop or from a website like ThreadUp or something along those lines, because all of the chemicals and materials and natural resources that are used to produce the clothing could make an impact.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of movement in that space to try to be more environmental. There's a lot of, I think, a little bit more of a kind of zoom in on fast fashion like H&M, and that's making stuff that is only meant to last a little time. And actually that's an area I heard about, but I don't go real deep into it. Kira, who we're going to be talking to, is much more like focused on sustainable brands, and she's been having a little bit of a hard time finding awesome ones. I think we're still heading in that direction, but the easiest thing is to buy consignment and to participate in it. Sell your stuff to consignment, which is a great way to make money and be part of the loop, and then as much as you can buy from that. And there's some really great sites. There's the Real if you like going kind of high end, and then there's everything down.
They have everything. ThreadUp is another one that's great. Also, it's a website that you can sell your clothes. They actually will send you a bag, or you can use a label, and you send your stuff to them, and then you can sell it on their website they'll pick which items that they like, and then in return, you can either earn credit to purchase something on their site, or you can actually they'll pay you via PayPal. But I've gotten some great shirts and dresses on ThreadUp, and I'll tell you, I saved a lot of money. Great quality, and I felt good being a part of that process, that cycle, rather than going to H&M and Old Navy. I mean, I love the stores, but if there's anything that I can do and find beautiful, fashionable items, I'm going to do it via ThreadUp or more of the consignment. Consignment stores are great because you can find like those special, like,
it's unique.
yes,
Everyone will be wearing it. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, and I think that intersection of saving money and saving the environment, and it's such a great, and actually back just real quickly to the food one, it's something like families waste $1,500 a year on wasted food. So it's all good. There's like, you get all the benefits on a lot of these points. So that's really cool.
So
yeah, so that's a good one. And then just moving toward a vegetarian diet. I'm sure people have heard this, or a vegan diet. Again, I feel like everyone in the end has to do what is good for them, but understand, what the benefits are. So if you move to a more plant-based diet, there are all sorts of health benefits. And then it's also better for the environment. It takes less energy, because if you think about it just simply, with meat, you're growing food to feed the animal, and then you feed us.
And then yourself. Right?
Yeah. So when you don't eat as much meat, you're taking that middle cow out of the thing, and you're going straight from vegetables to us.
Right.
Yeah. So I actually myself don't go entirely off. Like, I'm not vegan. I kind of lean vegetarian and lean veggie a lot, and that works for me. And I feel like I'm healthy. But I think everyone's got to find their way. But it's good to know that does make a difference if a lot of us take even like one serving of meat out a week. It's good for your health, and it's a good thing overall for the environment too. We eat too much meat protein, meat-based protein in our culture anyway. So that's a good one.
I agree. No, I agree. And we've been trying to find alternatives, and there are so many alternatives out there to meat protein. Walk around Sprouts, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's. I mean, there's so many different alternatives out there. So it's almost like an education for yourself also, and you're helping the environment, and you're putting healthy food into your system.
Yep. And then, like, in the individual action part, there's voting, obviously. So if you look and you vote for people who will move this stuff forward, if, at the end of this conversation or before you thought that was important, then, we can do individual action, but really it's policy that moves the ship, the whole country, the whole world in the right direction. So.
Yes. So if there's anyone on here not yet registered to vote, you still have time.
Absolutely. And please vote. Yeah. So that's really important. Another really fun area, something that I said was I moved out to California to work in renewable energy. So solar is great. Some really good news on that front is 1 out of 4 Americans live in a place that has committed to 100% renewable energy, a state. Florida is not one of those. I worked on that. I know it's like Sunshine State. Yeah. So if anyone's interested in really interested in that, I'm the co-founder of a nonprofit. It's a climate reality nonprofit. We have a chapter here, but you can participate from anywhere. We have people from New York and actually Europe participating because it's virtual now, one of the benefits. So that's it. We're on Facebook. It's Climate Reality Boca is the chapter. So it's based in Boca Raton because we do Broward and Palm Beach County. So we're kind of based there to be sort of in the middle when we're meeting in person. And we work on this kind of thing, climate education, and also educating people and companies and cities on committing to renewable energy. And if you want to do it yourself or learn about your home, there's a great website called Solar United Neighbors. They have really good Solar United Neighbors. They have great information on there. And what they also do is they group together people in a co-op, and then you together pick one installer, and they help you to pick the installer. And that way you kind of have the power of a big group. You get a better dollar amount because the installer is putting, let's say, 30 homes. And I interviewed some people for an article who had participated, and one of them was like, it was great. We had an engineer who lived in the neighborhood. And so I felt so good that, I don't know what I'm doing. So you get some of those benefits. Yeah.
It's really wonderful.
Little power tip. Sorry.
Oh, that is great. One of my friends actually just got solar panels for her house. It was a program through FPL, believe it or not. And so she got the panels installed, and she's so happy because they were able to gauge how much power she would need because she's getting a pool with a heater. And so it's kind of interesting. I think that's where a lot of home energy is going to. I see it more and more when I drive down the street that people are getting solar panels and trying to utilize the renewable energy. I can't believe Florida's not one of them. We'll work on that.
Yeah, and also the resilience part. So Lisa, who we work out with, she's installing in her house solar with battery. So during hurricane, she can go to the batteries. And the other nice thing is, unlike a diesel generator, which unfortunately can be life-threatening if you don't do it correctly, with carbon monoxide, if it's a battery, no problem. So I think we're going to see more of that. That has to get more affordable so that, all people can have access to it. But I definitely, like you're saying, I see people doing that.
That's awesome. These tips are so great. I want to thank you so much. I will be summarizing this in an article this week that I'm going to be posting onto the Modern Mom Lounge. And if you're just joining us now, don't worry. The replay will be up on facebook.com/the Modern Mom Lounge, as well as in our private Facebook group, which you guys are all more than welcome to join as well. I am going to do the quick speed round of questions that I do for all of my fabulous women that come on. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Any particular tea, or?
I do like I'm just like an Earl Grey with some honey and a little milk, actually. I think I might be a little European or something.
Ooh, that's very English of you. I love it. If you were to drink wine, I know this answer, but they don't, red or white?
Red.
Yeah. I was like, I'll for you. Those many book club nights. What's your favorite flower?
I'd have to say hydrangea.
Across the board, every single person has said hydrangea. I don't blame
Really?
them. Yes, it's been across the board. That's gonna have to be the flower for the Modern Mom Lounge, I think.
It's the year of, it's such a powerful yet beautiful flower. I think that's why we're all attracted to it. And it's like the one flower bouquet, like exactly. To mess around with other flowers.
Yep. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I love it. So if you are not consulting companies and individuals on how they can help make an impact on the environment, what are you doing?
I'm outside, and my preference is like North Carolina or Northern California, like really lush, green, beautiful hiking. Yeah.
Nice. What is your favorite quote?
All right, so I'm gonna have to go with a little Ruth Bader Ginsburg, especially given where we're at. So one of her favorites was obviously speaks to me is fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you.
I just got the chills from that. It's so appropriate and true. Okay. Your favorite book or author?
So I'm gonna have to go with something that is on theme. So I'm gonna give you, if anyone's interested in learning more, this is a book called, let me see if I can do it, Drawdown. It's a New York Times bestseller, but it's in the environmental space. The person who put it together is Paul Hoffman, and I've read his other book. But it's like this beautiful, let me see if I can get in there. It's a beautiful, coffee table book, almost the way that they did it.
Oh, wow.
So it's all about the solution to the climate problem. So it's actually, if you're gonna do anything, it's very approachable. They also have a website, so not so much a fun book for me. I have lots of authors that I like that are more fun, but I just feel like this is probably something that someone else wouldn't bring up. And if anyone is interested in that next level, it's very readable and it's got gorgeous pictures in it. So.
No, that's great. That's a great recommendation. And one more question. Podcast. Are you a podcaster?
A little bit, but I kind of tend to listen to the ones that are a little on the longer side. I would say one of my sort of more fun ones is what is the name of it? The one where they like slowly break down jokes.
Oh, what's that?
I love comedy. Let me pull it up for you. I made up.
If you can't find it, we could put it in the comments below, but that sounds like fun.
I'll have to get it. I'll have to get the name. I thought I had it saved in here, but basically the different comedians come on and talk about one of their bits and they explain like the origin of it, and I don't know, I think it's kind of fun. I love watching live comedy.
Wow, I love comedy is like a healer, like Jewish chicken soup. It just heals. It warms the soul. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Holly, again for being here. And I apologize for the technological. It worked out very well. We made it work. Everyone who's watching, if you have any questions on climate change, questions about what you can do if you want to get involved with Holly's organization, or you have questions on the book or anything along those, or any of the websites that I put below, please feel free to leave a comment or direct message me. And if I don't have the answer, I will definitely forward them over to Holly to respond. In the meantime, I hope you guys all have a great rest of the week. I am actually going to Gabriel's baseball game right now. It started at 7, so I'm like, I'll be live. A mother's work is never done.
You're totally walking the talk.
Oh my God, it's crazy. But I love every minute of it. Definitely no complaints. But so once again, Holly, thank you so much. I learned a lot. And I'll see you either Saturday on Pilates or at our next book club.
Sounds good. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.